Hello and welcome to our special show, End of an Era for Wales. I have with me Sports9 editor Sundeep Misra, and we'll be discussing what happened last night between England and Wales. England handed a chastening defeat to Wales 3-0, but what did go wrong for Wales?
I think you can just put it in one basic thing is that if your main man is not going to be working around, I mean, as a centre forward, as the guy who the whole team revolves around, then it just becomes a massive issue for a team because he's your inspiration. He's the guy who's brought you here. All the qualifying goals, assists, you look at those numbers, all are for Bale. Now suddenly you come in, and probably it's an injury that he's, because if you go through an entire first half and you don't get a touch, then there's something seriously wrong. And in the second half, the touches were not there. I mean, there were 7 or 6 of them. But nothing was working in that sense. Wales could have made a competitive match out of it. But if your main guy is not going to be working his magic or energy out there or enthusiasm for the team, then it becomes a serious problem. Of course, age is a factor, injury is a factor, but so is the case with at least 3-4 players in the side. So overall, I think England had it easy. A match that we all believed would have been nicely competitive, a 1-0, 1-1, 2-2.
Till the halftime, it was competitive.
Yeah, but then the second gear, third gear by England, and with the kind of bench strength they have and the kind of team they have, I think it was easy for them to just roll over.
I was looking at the shot map, and 6 of their 7 shots were from outside the box. So that says that they were not able to camp deep inside England's box. So Murray also took 2 shots. One of that got deflected by Maguire, and Pickford made a save. But do you think that England's defense must be given credit for this?
Of course. I mean, now I think what Southgate has done with this particular match is that he's basically used all the stuff that he needed to do in his first 2 and 3 games. And for a knockout stage, I think he's used a good members of the team in terms of at least getting the team together for the knockout and looking at the quarterfinals. In that way, I think now England is sitting very, very nice, much better than most. Probably alongside France right now in terms of full utilization of what they can offer and what they can actually create. In that sense, I think Wales was just an experiment for them in the second half. So, and it looked like that. I mean, the way he was revolving and rotating his players, Wales was just not there at all.
Yeah.
So it was not only easy, but it was also something like, can Wales do something extra here? And that extra never came.
Yeah, to be honest, Wales doesn't have a squad as good as England. So whenever even they were taking a shot or two, their fans were appreciating that because they know that we are not as good as England. But what about Rashford? He was in blistering form last night. He scored that sumptuous free kick, then that thunderous goal, third goal, and even for the second goal, he won the ball high upfield, delivered that to Kane, and Kane in turn delivers that to Foden. So what a performance by Rashford, who made his first, who started in the starting lineup for the first time in 2 years.
I think there's something about Maguire and Rashford with Southgate, I think there's some equation that really works. You look at the qualifying, you look at the Euro, they always come together, in a way that really goes well for Gareth. In that sense, I think there is a magical equation, whatever you call it. It happens with a lot of coaches with a certain amount of players. It doesn't happen at the club level so often. I think it's also because the matches are so many that at some point of time you lose that little bit of skill or trust or faith that you have in a coach or in a player. But in a World Cup situation, these are the boys who've been delivering for him. So he's kind of looking at them. And when the player knows that the coach is going to back me, I think that's when he starts performing. And I hope it also percolates and goes down to Foden, because at some point of time, there was so much of this talk that he's not getting a look in. Is he going to be playing? Does he really have the trust of the coach or not? Vis-a-vis Maguire or Rashford for that matter. But I think yesterday's display will put some amount of fear in most of the teams that this team is now getting into a groove to really perform.
Yeah. Welsh fans had a lot of expectations from their team, but they couldn't even book a single win in this campaign. Booked a 1-1 draw against USA, lost to Iran, unfortunately, due to that red card. And now they lost to their eternal rivals, England. So, Wales, what could Wales have done differently throughout the tournament?
Nothing much, honestly. This is as good as it gets for them as far as a team goes. The issues start now, because remember that when he came in, when he became a player, he was hardly 16 at that point of time. He's played a decently lengthy period, for Wales. He's been one of those players who's qualified, who's gone into the semi-finals of the Euro. All of those kind of marks are there as a player for him. Now the problem is, I don't even see them actually. If you look at this particular team and you look at 2 or 3 players, I think Ethan is one. He's 22 or something. He's got 40 caps. But the rest of them, I don't see them actually qualifying for the next World Cup even, because it's going to be a problem there. Of course, Bale will always wish that the qualification happens. He's going to be there at that time. He's still going to be playing the MLS. But after this, the actual problems will start off, because they really don't have a core. Whatever core they have is basically outside of the top leagues. They don't have many players who are playing the top leagues in Europe. Now that is where the issues will start. It happens with most teams. Now is the time to rebuild. They rebuilt when Gareth was coming into the side at that point of time. They rebuilt over 6 years, 8 years, a very, very good team around him. Do you have any player now around whom Wales can build a team? I'm seriously doubtful now. You never know what happens in the next couple of or 3 years. These are the boys who might just break through. But it looks difficult. It looks difficult for Wales to, finally find another World Cup. And that's what you see on the fans' faces. This was a World Cup where they could have made a mark. They knew the limitations, but yet you sometimes feel like a Saudi Arabia coming through. Maybe Wales could have, but now it's almost next to impossible.
Right. Gareth Bale has ended his international career with the match against England. He was not able to take a single shot, unfortunately. But that's the end of Wales at the World Cup. That's about it from this episode. To know more about the World Cup, news, insights, facts and figures, subscribe to News9. This is us signing off.